That luxury vehicle in your neighbor's driveway might actually be a financial trap designed to keep them broke forever.
Consider Marcus, who glides into the corporate parking structure precisely at 8:45 every weekday morning, piloting a pristine midnight blue Audi Q7.
His monthly lease statement demands exactly $850, locked in for the next 3 years. He deliberately selects the most prominent parking bay right outside the main lobby gates.
It isn't for convenience. He wants that gleaming metal perfectly positioned beneath the third-floor boardroom glass where his division gathers each Monday morning.
Marcus operates as a senior account executive, earning a respectable $95,000 annually.
Whenever prospective investors tour the facility, he makes certain to escort them through the courtyard, guaranteeing they catch a glimpse of those polished wheels.
That European SUV isn't just basic transit for Marcus. It functions as a rolling credit card statement wrapped in sleek body panels, funded by monthly drafts he can scarcely cover.
But what if the person parking next to him is playing a completely different game? Elena positions her vehicle in the furthest corner of that identical concrete lot at 8:15 every single day.
Her ride is a fading 2019 Honda Accord, picked up secondhand 4 seasons back for $21,500 in hard cash.
A noticeable scrape blemishes the front fender, a detail she completely ignores because a scratch never alters how safely the machine operates.
Elena directs the entire logistics wing of the enterprise, pulling down a steady $115,000 yearly salary.
Marcus possesses a total net worth hovering around $15,000. That figure is weighed down heavily by compounding signature loans, his binding lease payments, a high-interest line used for an exotic island getaway last spring, and a retirement account holding
just $7,500 because he caps his savings at a bare minimum 2% company match. Meanwhile, Elena's personal balance sheet proudly clears $2 million.
Marcus projects immense wealth while Elena actually possesses it, yet they share a roof and earn comparable income.
The profound chasm separating their true financial destinations is forged by decades of opposing micro-choices.
The primary catalyst for this divergence sits quietly on the asphalt every morning. One individual chased immediate status, the other prioritized massive capital accumulation.
That vehicle choice was the precise fork in the road.
This deep dive uncovers the underlying reasons why the truly wealthy citizens across this country overwhelmingly choose to pilot cars that would shock the middle class.
They do this not out of scarcity, but because their core philosophy regarding capital is so completely detached from mainstream consumer culture.
The automobile serves as the most glaring physical manifestation of the exact wealth-building mindset that secured their millions from the absolute start.
Let us unpack the data. The exact mid-point price recorded by validated millionaires for their most recent automobile transaction stands at just $32,450. For ultra-wealthy families commanding fortunes exceeding $10 million, that purchase number only creeps up to $42,500. This concrete evidence originates directly from comprehensive national wealth tracking data, representing some of the most exhaustive demographic studies of affluent households ever assembled.
Consider how that compares to the broader market. The typical transaction price for a standard new automobile in the current economy has surged past the $49,000 threshold.
Do you see the mathematical irony here? The typical wage earner is shelling out significantly more capital for their daily transit than the verified millionaire sitting on a massive nest egg.
A deep automotive data poll revealed that an astonishing 62% of households generating over $250,000 annually choose to drive standard consumer brands like Hondas, Toyotas, or Fords.
Nearly 2/3 of high earners follow this blueprint.
We are talking about households pulling down $250,000 each year, individuals who could easily sign a cash check for a high-end Range Rover without blinking.
Yet the vast majority choose to commute in an ordinary Civic, an unpretentious Camry, or a standard domestic pickup truck.
Merely 38% of those high-income households opted for European luxury nameplates whatsoever.
The absolute most popular vehicle brand among real millionaires is Toyota, closely followed by Honda, with Ford capturing the third position.
High-end brands like Mercedes do not even appear until the fourth slot, with BMW trailing in fifth place. Furthermore, only 24% of wealthy individuals operated a vehicle manufactured within the current calendar year.
The data confirms that more than half of them navigated the streets in vehicles older than 24 months.
The typical self-made millionaire operates an automobile that is roughly 4 years old with approximately 42,000 miles logged on the odometer.
These families are not avoiding luxury due to a lack of liquidity. They are avoiding it because they recognize an economic reality that average consumers have been systematically conditioned to
ignore. Vehicles represent the single most destructive wealth evaporating engine inside the modern consumer landscape, trailing only primary residential real estate.
Yet, unlike a residential home, which generally maintains a baseline trajectory of long-term capital appreciation, a brand new vehicle begins bleeding value the precise millisecond your signature
touches the dealer's financing contract. A factory new machine surrenders approximately 20% of its total equity during the initial 12 months of ownership.
By the fifth year, it has shed roughly 40% of its original sticker price. By the seventh year, the vast majority of consumer automobiles retain less than 1/3 of their initial retail valuation.
Meanwhile, the average monthly payment for a newly financed vehicle has scaled to an unprecedented $770, with countless drivers locking themselves into monthly obligations climbing well past $1,000, financing terms extending out to 84 months. 7 full calendar years of relentless debt servicing are becoming completely normalized in current culture.
This structural shift means a massive percentage of everyday citizens are actively sending money every month to service an asset that is worth far less than the outstanding principal balance.
For the vast majority of that loan's duration, they are fundamentally trapped underwater.
They owe more cash than the machine is actually worth on the open market, and they willingly absorb this financial blow month after month instead of funneling that identical capital into productive,
income-producing assets that compound upward. The math of consumer status is where your financial future goes to die.
Let us look at the raw calculations because the numbers reveal a stark picture. Marcus leases his premium European SUV for $850 each month.
Across his 36-month lease window, he funnels a total of $3600 into the vehicle. When the contract expires, his equity balance stands at exactly zero.
He hands the keys back to the dealership and promptly signs a fresh lease because stepping down to an ordinary sedan would trigger an immediate social ego hit. He will repeat this exact behavioral loop for roughly 30 years of his professional career, sacrificing an average of $850 monthly for a piece of depreciating machinery he will never truly possess.
Conversely, Alina acquired her dependable sedan for $21,500 in upfront cash. She intends to pilot that vehicle for a full 8 years.
Her comprehensive total cost of vehicle utilization, factoring in basic maintenance, localized insurance premiums, and the initial acquisition capital, boils down to approximately $335 per month.
Over her entire ownership span, at the conclusion of that 8-year window, the vehicle remains perfectly operational.
She liquidates it on the private market for $9,000, rolls that capital into another high-quality used sedan priced at $23,000, and restarts the identical process.
The net monthly cash differential between Marcus's strategy and Alina's approach hovers right around $515.
Think about that extra cash.
If you take that $515 monthly difference and channel it into a standard index fund yielding a historic 8% average annualized return over a 30-year professional window, that single behavioral
adjustment balloons into an astounding $768 nest egg. Let that specific metric sink into your consciousness.
Over $750,000. That is not a fictional projection. It is the absolute mathematical certainty of the wealth gap created by choosing a $850 monthly lease over a $335 total ownership cost compounded over a standard
working lifetime. It represents the defining line between entering your golden years with limitless autonomy versus entering them with severe financial dread.
It is the literal divergence between complete monetary liberation at age 60 and exhausting corporate dependence at age 75, all stemming from a single piece of steel sitting on your driveway. This
very second, a machine selected primarily to manipulate the perceptions of random strangers.
Elena's $1. $2 million net worth was not the product of a complex, high-risk derivative strategy or a surprise multi-generational inheritance.
Studies confirm that 88% of modern millionaires are completely self-made, building their foundations from zero.
Elena matches that exact avatar. She generated her financial fortress exclusively by defending the margin between what she earns and what she actually consumes.
The driveway is precisely where she insulates the single largest portion of that wealth-building gap.
Her automotive conservatism alone is directly responsible for roughly $610,000 of her aggregate net worth, representing more than half of her entire financial empire, born from one singular recurring
Choice made decades ago and effortlessly duplicated every 8 years. Broad wealth surveys show that 94% of self-made millionaires consistently operate well below their true economic means.
Shockingly, only 31% of them maintained a six-figure income throughout their primary earning years.
1/3 of these wealthy individuals never crossed the $100,000 salary mark in any solitary working year of their lives.
The top 5 most frequent occupations appearing on those millionaire registries were standardized roles: industrial engineers, staff accountants, public school teachers, middle management, and practicing attorneys. Public school teachers, a demographic culturally categorized as chronically undercompensated, were populating the millionaire databases with higher frequency than high-end orthopedic surgeons or elite
Silicon Valley software engineers. Why does this happen? Because your specific professional title never dictates your ultimate wealth outcome. The size of your wealth building gap does.
And the automobile is the exact weapon most citizens use to blow that gap completely apart.
While this content is for educational purposes rather than personalized financial consulting, you must grasp why the automobile category separates wealth outcomes far more cleanly than virtually any
other lifestyle expense on Earth. There are 3 core pillars driving this reality. The first pillar is sheer economic magnitude. Outside of your primary housing costs, a vehicle payment represents the absolute largest recurring line item in the typical household budget.
$770 monthly commitment eclipses what most families allocate toward high-quality groceries, personal savings, or retirement vehicles.
When this single category is artificially inflated by $400 or $500 beyond what is mathematically required for safe, dependable transportation, the sheer volume of excess consumption completely
overpowers every other positive financial habit you attempt to practice.
You can aggressively terminate every streaming subscription, brew your morning espresso at home without exception, pack a brown bag lunch every single day, and exhaustively renegotiate your utility rates, yet the combined savings from those small sacrifices will never close the financial wound created by a massive car note.
The vehicle represents the massive boulder in your financial stream. The daily coffees are merely tiny pebbles.
Most financial gurus obsess over the pebbles because minor lifestyle cutbacks are easy to preach, but moving the big boulder is where the real fortune is actually saved.
The second pillar is extended duration. Unlike a premium vacation, a high-end dinner, or a luxury winter coat, an automobile loan commands your financial oxygen for multiple years.
60 months, 72 months, 84 months. It operates as a continuous, automated wealth extraction mechanism that drains your checking account silently for nearly a decade.
Because the system runs on autopilot,
your psychology rapidly habituates to the loss.
By the sixth installment, your brain no longer actively processes the financial sting. The payment simply morphs into the background scenery of your life.
You naturally adjust your remaining lifestyle around that missing capital, accepting the debt as an unalterable cost of modern existence.
But what if that fixed cost is actually a voluntary trap?
It was entirely a choice, a singular decision executed on a random Saturday afternoon inside a showroom that now drains your wealth month after month, while the underlying asset sheds its value like
stone.